Welcome to the London School of Business and Finance. My name is David Shaw and I'm Senior Lecturer here and I teach global marketing. I spent 25 years in the global marketing business, travelling the world buying and selling, meeting people from all parts. What I'd like to do today is to get you to think about what global marketing actually encompasses. There's a good saying here, the world is your oyster, but do you do seafood? Well, what does that mean? I mean, yes, we all know what's inside an oyster, but the ocean is much bigger. There are many fish in the ocean, and many fish are still not discovered. There is so much to learn. The world market is an ocean, much of which is not well understood, just as are the oceans of the world. What we try to do with global marketing as a subject here is to have very clear outcomes of things that we expect you, students, to be able to achieve. One of the major outcomes will be your ability to recognise the challenge to global marketing, what is stopping it, what's making it happen, what's making it not happen, and then training you to think logically, to develop tactics and strategies, tactics, short-term actions, strategies, longer-term plans, to get your product and services into different markets around the world. The other major outcome is really to look at the application of competitive advantage. Competitive advantage is something all products, all brands, all companies dream of having, whether it's a better iPhone, a better smartphone, whether it's a better tasting product, whether it's a better fitting clothes, more fashionable. We're always trying to be better than our competitors. The need to identify what can give you a competitive advantage is a critical part of the marketing thought processes. We also need to see whether the products and services that we have on offer are suitable to be marketed as a standardised product, or indeed, do we need to adapt it to local tastes? There's so much to learn in marketing, and of course the major problem that's facing us all is the fact that the world is changing all the time. There is no such thing as a plan that can be used through time in all countries. Clever marketers are thinking, analysing the whole time and coming up with new approaches. What are the factors that are actually driving the globalisation of the world, and in particularly the factors affecting global marketing? Probably one of the major drivers has been the increased flow of information. They reckon that data and information doubles every 2 years. We have an exponential amount of information for us to assimilate and to try and deal with and analyse and study before we make decisions. Big part of global marketing, understanding the information flowing in. Certainly, as a world, we have all become more aware of one another through the growth of international media, television, films, you name it. We can see virtually anything via satellite TV. We have all become knowledge heavy. The spread of technology, the internet, the use of broadband, and hopefully soon super high-speed broadband, enables us to communicate very, very quickly right across the planet. I can remember the days in my career when we only had a telephone and fax machine. We now are able to send high-definition pictures at an instant across the entire globe and further. The original marketeers of the 1940s and 50s who came out of America believed big was beautiful. Everything was about economies of scale, standardised products. More and more people's tastes are changing quickly, people's fashions are moving on, and we're having to produce products in smaller batches. Another great driver has been the reduction of global trade barriers, protectionism. The 1930s depression was caused almost entirely as a result of defensive behaviour by countries. The World Trade Organization has now virtually opened the world up completely. Certainly, what we are beginning to see in the world is the growth of what I call trading blocks. North America, South America, Central America are all aligned with one another and allow free movement of goods and to some degree people. The EU, originally founded between Germany and France in the 1950s, has spread right across Europe, encompassing many Eastern European countries. Europe so ravaged by war. In fact, I believe probably those two wars held the whole world back for 20 to 30 years. Now, thankfully, enjoys relative peace. We now trade with each other. We're all friends. Our only times we're enemies, probably on the football pitch. The evolution also within markets of more and more clearly defined and smaller segments, as we describe them. Certainly in a city like London, we see huge numbers of people from all over the globe. You can eat in virtually any type of restaurant in London. There's something like 200 nationalities living in this capital city, all of them requiring their own products and services. Global travel, the widespread use of the internet, the widespread dissemination of information has created global market segments like there have never been before. On the other side of the equation, there are factors that are stopping globalization. Certainly tastes and culture, local taste, local culture. Maybe religion prohibits the sale of products in one country compared to another country. We are all victims of culture. Where we were brought up, where we were schooled, our parents, religion, politics have all made us into the people we are today. We as global marketers have to understand these drivers of culture. Markets vary dramatically, and the conditions in markets vary. In some countries there's high unemployment and low growth. In other countries there is high growth and low unemployment. We have to understand what's happening inside economies. Global marketing is also about having a good understanding of global economics. The large multinational corporation, the large pan-national company is everywhere. But people working in those companies are all very different in different countries. And managing companies can be quite culturally difficult. Some companies, some organisations have what's known as management myopia. Management myopia means being short-sighted, not seeing clearly into the distance, not seeing what's about to happen, looking to the future, looking at trends. Global marketing is about looking and seeing. Another factor against globalisation is the increasing development of the pressure group. In the Western world, the anti-capitalists are very opposed to consumption. But without consumption, there would be no jobs, there would be no growth, there would be no nice things, the things that you and I enjoy in our lives. We have a lot to thank global marketing for. When we examine any market in any country, there are always four major forces at work. These are political forces, technological forces, socio-cultural forces, and economic forces. The political and legal system can make trade difficult or easy in countries. There are different laws, different trade regulations. You have to do your research before you enter a market. Technology, standards of education, technology transfer, levels of training that people have received all vary. Again, an area for deep marketing research before we enter these markets. And of course, again, socio-cultural factors. One of the world's major problems is the ageing Western population, the ageing populations of China, of America, of Japan. Language itself can also be a problem. The economic situation also varies from country to country. Some countries are well developed, like the UK, with high growth rates. The UK, once the seat of the Industrial Revolution, is now no longer the driving dynamo of the world economy as it once was. We see the transfer of business to what we call the BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, an understanding of what is driving business in those countries, how they see their business and how they see us as customers is always the key perspective required. And of course, currency exchange rates. There's just so many forces to look at, but these four forces we look at in detail. Now, the global marketing mix varies in different countries. In some countries you can sell standardized products, in other countries they need adapting. Standardised products such as Coca-Cola, such as McDonald's, well, even they vary slightly, but they're probably the closest. The Nike trainer, the only thing that varies with the Nike trainer might be the size. But in things like food, banking, there are a whole host of other products and services that require adaptation to fit in with the local market's requirements, whether it's Islamic banking compared to Western banking. All of these things we look at. And we're particularly interested in understanding how people perceive our products and our services in their market. Entering a new market can be very risky. It can go from one end, where you simply just export merchandise to that country, to the other extreme, where we open a factory or we open a subsidiary and directly operate it. There are many stages in market entry, from exporting using distributors and agents, through cooperative ventures, joint strategies. We have to consider the safest and most logical way. Again, we study in depth market entry strategies, so vital if our product and services is to have a good long life and profitable existence in any other country. We expect you to be able to read, analyse, and what we mostly want is for you to be interested in what's happening in the world. An understanding of what goes on about you is mission critical for any form of business success. Global marketers are no exception. In today's hyper-competitive world, only those who really care and only the best will survive. I look forward to seeing you. Goodbye.